Matric choice 2, first 30 minutes, 17th of July 2020. Start.
Do you only press start after you've said that?
No.
Oh, okay. No. I think what's happening is Mr. Ruzmiza is cutting off that first part stuff, which doesn't help me in the least. But anyway, so be it. Okay, right, we're going. So first of all, before we go any further, let's talk about next week and life. So did you guys get a letter yesterday?
Oh yes, yeah, we did.
About next week?
Our parents got it. It's not us.
Parents. Okay, so the story goes. They were suggesting that we do everything online, even for matric. So from next week, the grade 8s won't come to school, grade 9s, 10s, 11s won't come to school. They'll be all online. And it was suggested that we do the same with the grade 12s. And some of us said, we've got students that are coming to school that we know prefer to come to school. And so we're going to try and offer that option. But I need to know, there's very little point in me coming from outer Mongolia to here and then discovering that none of you are here. Are some of you still planning on coming to school physically?
If,
you prefer that?
If it's a thing that school is still open, then I'll be coming.
Yeah, so my feeling is it's actually better for you guys to have face-to-face teaching.
Yeah.
And so if you're prepared to come to school, I'm prepared to come and do face-to-face teaching to you. Okay, that makes you happy. You're okay with that? All right, let's go.
Wait, so then we still have an assessment lesson on Friday for our cycle testing.
Yeah. Yes. Well, so they're going to completely redo the timetable, and they're going to give you longer slots, and certain subjects that have finished and don't need you anymore are going to get fewer or no slots, and people who are frantic like we are, and apparently geography is, are going to get more slots.
So we will still be writing on Friday.
So the short answer to that is I don't know whether it's going to be Friday. Oh wait, it's life sciences, yes. Best it be Friday, or else I'll be grumpy.
So wait, man, do you mean that the lesson is going to be longer, so it's no longer just 30 minutes? Because that would be...
It might be a number of 30-minute slots together. So they might still be scheduled as 30 minutes.
One
in fact, I think that
lesson
probably... No, I get it.
is just
I absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
But you're also going to get more life sciences than you currently are having, so that we can try and do a little bit more with you. Okay, so we've agreed you're coming to school. I will hunt you down and slash your car tires if I come to school and you're not here. Okay. No, I will hunt you down. On Adam, it gives me your physical address. Yeah, it takes too much energy, and energy is expensive. Okay, right, we're going. Okay, so we were busy with all the pieces of evidence for evolution, and we got as far as number 7, and then we'll finish number 8 quickly. Remember, I said to you, some of these are better than others in terms of your ability to explain them and to explain how they can be used as evidence to show that evolution has occurred. So remember that what I said to you is, if they ask you to discuss 2 pieces of information, then choose wisely. Okay, I don't think the biogeography is easy. I think that vestigial or transitional species and fossil record and structural similarities for me are the best. But anyway, okay, let's go through vestigial organs. Tell me 2 examples of vestigial organs that you have or used to have or have never developed, and really steady, go. What is vestige? was an English word, guys. What does the word vestige mean?
Yeah,
It's your home language for some of you.
Could it be
You're
like your
calling little
appendix?
children?
Your appendix? I don't know, maybe like
Yes.
Is it?
Okay, so vestige means very little. Very little of I have a vestige of retirement fund. Or something like that. Okay, means very little. Little remains of something. And so the one example is an appendix. So there's an there's an appendix, but it's not used in humans anymore. So it's the remains of something that used to be used. We haven't lost it totally, but it doesn't have any function in humans. And what have I told you about producing and maintaining something that doesn't have a function? It's a waste of energy. Okay. Second one, tail. Very few of us have the tail thing though. Who do you know that has?
Wait, man, you mean the tailbone?
Yeah, human, Bonga, human.
Like a specific person.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, can we see it?
I can't. I can go Google, I can find it. Kesha? Singer? Please Google.
Wait, man, so you know
No, I mean I know that she has a tailbone, a little tail. No, I don't know her.
Oh. Wait, man, can you see the tail like in her back? No!
I think you can.
Yeah, you can. She's
Please can you Google it?
no, because we're trying to finish the syllabus. So when you get home, Google. If I see you googling under the desk, I'm throwing you out into the cold and the snow. Okay, right, we're going. Yes.
Ma'am, this is not really an organ, but your.
Mine,
It's not really a organ.
mine.
What?
Because you keep saying your.
It's not
Keep
a.
talking about my tail.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm talking about that.
Yes. Okay, go.
Because this is a vestigial. Vestigial part of the body, but also your.
Not mine.
Okay, it is
That.
The premolars, the teeth that are used to like rip meat. We don't need that anymore, because like.
Came out. How do you eat biltong?
No, but like we don't.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be long.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
It doesn't need
So,
to be like a
but
sharp
it's not. It is still used quite a lot.
one.
But which teeth aren't used?
That's your wisdom teeth.
Not mine. I don't have any. They were thrown away years ago. They're wisdom teeth. Okay, so wisdom teeth, tail, and appendix.
Yeah.
Okay. And so those are just examples in humans, but some organisms have structures or organs that are very small and don't appear to have any function, and these structures are termed vestigial organs. They are remains of organs of ancestral species that used to have a function, and that's important. Okay, so they're often homologous. Remember, what was homologous? Thank you. Yes, I like that answer. No, same structure.
Yeah.
Okay, same.
Dylan is asking how to add a table on Google Docs.
I beg your pardon.
Dylan is asking how to add a table on Google Docs.
Insert
Why is the idiot doing it on Google Docs? Sorry. Politely say to him, on a piece of paper, and scan it, and Paige is going to kill you. Thank you. Sorry. I swear, these grade 8s, do any of you have siblings in grade 8?
No, man, Google have.
My word, be grateful.
Oh, that's shame. I'm like, imagine how they feel.
No, but they've got a very clear set of instructions. Write your answers on paper, scan them, send them to me. I am watching on Google Meet a child type them onto his iPad. How's he going to submit that to me as a scanned document that I can print?
It's going to print it and scan it.
Wait,
Yes, Bonga.
if he sends a Google Docs to you, you can't open it.
No, I can't.
What? But they can.
It's too late. It's now like he's got 6 minutes of the lesson left. I mean, of the test left, and I can't open the document he's sending me. Anyway, so be it. Okay, so blah blah blah. We've spoken about that. Everybody happy with that? So you understand that it was an organ that came from a common ancestor where it actually was functional. Okay, right. Are you ready, Joshua? Stop watching that. So appendix, and in plant-eating animals, the appendix is very large. In rabbits, it's absolutely huge. And it contains bacteria that are used for digesting plant material. And so it's functional in those animals. We've spoken about the coccyx as being the tail, and this is quite an interesting one. Dolphins have the rudiments. You know what rudiment is? Rudimentary. Like your understanding of English is rudimentary.
Excellent.
No. Okay. So dolphins have the rudiments of a pelvic girdle, as can be seen in the diagram. I'll show you the diagram. Because a dolphin doesn't have hind limbs. So if the hind limbs functions for attachment to the pelvic girdle and they don't have hind limbs, and they are animals that evolved from land animals that moved back into the sea, okay? So they would have come from ancestors that had a pelvic girdle, okay? So here you can see dolphin. There's the remnants of a pelvic girdle in the dolphin.
These remnants like remains, no?
Yes. So it's a vestigial organ. So it's like an appendix in us, came from a common ancestor, had a function in the ancestor, doesn't have a function in this organism.
Ma'am, what is the function of the pelvic girdle?
For attachment of the legs.
Okay.
Okay. Right. And then this is my favorite. Intermediate species or transitional species. So this is what you might see referred to as missing links, but missing links is not a good scientific term, and therefore I would prefer you not to call. Now, I'm telling you, don't. I will track you down and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So these are the fossilized remains of forms of organisms that exhibit characteristic typical of two distinct classification groups. So in other words, okay, if there was an ancestor that had certain characteristics, and there is another group of organisms that evolved from that ancestor that has quite different characteristics, some similar, but quite a lot of different ones. And this was one of the biggest arguments against Darwin's theory. People said, if you're saying that this organism evolved into that organism, where is the evidence of the in-between? And Darwin said, they will be found. And the first one was in fact found within, I don't know, I think 10 years or something of Darwin having said and published about his theory of evolution. And so now that's what we're talking about. We're talking about these transitional fossils in between here. Okay. Okay, so this is my absolute best. This is an organism called a Tiktaalik, and I need to tell you the story. It's a beautiful, beautiful story about the Tiktaalik. So, fish lived in the sea, okay? Amphibians and reptiles live on land. Where's the in-between? And researchers and scientists thought about it and discussed it for a very long period of time, and they came up with the first land organisms were found in this time period. And so if we're looking for a transitional fossil, we need to look at this time period, because that's when you're going to have the transitional ones before they were completely on land. Okay? So we need to look within that time period. Then they said, where are there fossil beds and rock that was produced during this time period. Because if we're looking for those animals or those fossil remains, that's the kind of rock that we need to look for, and we need to look in that rock. So they predicted what the time period would be. They predicted what the animals would look like. So they said, if you're looking for a transitional between this group and this group, this is what it is going to look like. And they then took a world map and they said, where are we going to find this kind of rock from that age? And one of the places that was identified was in very far northern Canada. And so they went up there and they started a fossil dig, and they dug for 4 years. They could only dig for certain periods of time during the year, because during the rest of the time, everything was absolutely frozen and they weren't able to dig. And after 4 years, they found the animal where they said it would be, so fossil remains of Tiktaalik, where they said it would be, the age that they said it would be, and looking exactly like they said it would look. Okay, so this is an excellent example of a transitional fossil. So it was discovered in Arctic Canada in 2004. It's 375 million years old. It had gills and it had scales, but it had features of a tetrapod. And tetrapod means four-limbed. Okay. And it had limb-like fins, so its fins were developing bones, like limbs. It had a flexible neck. Now, if you think about it, fish don't have flexible necks. When you see a fish move, it doesn't go and look up at the sky. Now, all of a sudden, here's this animal with a flexible neck and a croc-shaped head. Now, that croc-shaped head is not the issue. The flexible neck is. And that the eyes were on top of the head, because it's going to be looking up. Whereas fish have mostly got eyes on the sides of the head, because they're looking around them. Okay, all right, so that's the story that I've spoken about. And here it is. This is where they found it. That's the area where they found it. That's exactly where they found it. These are reconstructions. This is a model of the actual famous fossil that they found, the first one that they found. There's a reconstruction of it.
Wait, was it that small?
Pardon?
Was it that small?
Yes.
It looked big enough for it.
Yes. No, but it's tiny. Okay, and here are the forelimbs. And look what it is. It's good old, what kind of forelimb?
The one we have, isn't it?
Which is called a pentadactyl. Okay, because look, there's the one big bone of the upper arm, and they're the two parallel smaller ones of the lower arm, and there's some carpal bones, etc., etc. So it's well on its way to getting a good old pentadactyl limb. Okay, so I've spoken about that, I've spoken about that. So Tiktaalik is seen as evidence of the period when our aquatic ancestors began moving ashore, along with other fins to limbs fossils. So there are a few other different ones. For example, this kind. Okay, please don't go and learn that. This is the most famous known tetrapod. So this is already a tetrapod.
So is it what, like
I'll
round
show you.
size?
I'll show you. Yes.
How would it be, how can you mutate to suddenly, to grow limbs? I don't quite understand.
There are many mutations, of which one is mutations that, and it would have been a slow mutation.
And it's very different, like to grow and hold another limb is a very, very different thing.
It is very different, but it's very different to go from having an appendage like this to having a whale's kind of tail and fluke and fins. Very different. And it would have been a slow thing with transitional fossils in between. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Somebody appreciates it. Okay. I need you to remember this name. So this is my way of getting you to remember a name and to know the size.
Looking at fish. Wait, my mouth's in the movie. Oh, I thought you know how to use them.
Okay, sorry, we can't watch this because Joshua objects. That's the guy who found it. Now you can judge its size. No, that's a reconstruction that they carried out. Shh. Are you listening? We need to discuss that. Yeah, it is quite time. Look at him searching for shoe ads, back to school shoes, because he needs shoes.
Man, how did they know they didn't just find a deformed crocodile?
How do they know?
They didn't just find a deformed crocodile.
Put your mask over your nose and shut up.
It's a very kiss.
So wait, this is written by the guy that found it.
It was found 375 million years ago. That's before crocodiles were even alive.
No, it wasn't found then.
I mean not found, sorry.
Thank you. What an excellent answer. I would think
Thank you, man. That's what I wanted an answer. Thank you, Matthew.
Brats.
Crocodiles are much bigger.
Okay, so a few things that come out of that are important, and one of these was actually asked in a previous matric exam. So how do they protect fossils, and when they're transporting them from one place to the next, from where they were found to where they're going to be used, or excavated and whatever. So they put them in plaster. So they put them in plaster Paris, and then they slowly chip that away. And what that does is it prevents the fragile parts from breaking. So once they get them, how do they get them out of the rock as well, would also be that they use very, very fine drills, almost like the drills that dentists use to drill holes, for fillings in the teeth. And they use paint brushes to brush away the little bits of sand and the bits of plaster, etc., to be able to see the very fine details. And you've got to know what's a correct scientific term for a scientist who studies fossils. You're happy with a paleontologist. What's the difference between a paleontologist and an archaeologist?
Archaeologists studies human remains and leftovers from human civilization.
Okay, it's more the leftovers from. So the correct word is artifacts. So artifacts from human civilizations would be an archaeologist, but a paleontologist studies fossils. So an archaeologist is more trying to understand how various people within old civilizations actually lived by studying things like the bowls and the beads and the architecture and that kind of thing. That would be an archaeologist. Paleontologist, trying to understand.
Do you mind if I read eggs on my
Are you? Okay. And the rest of you also have to go for that. You go and sit in one venue. Sorry, Right, guys, going around your cycle test. Sasha here?
She's writing business as well.
Yes, she named that. Okay, bye, guys. Lecture.
You could find a baby alligator if you want.
Yeah?
You could find a baby alligator.
I think it is something.
Get a hold of your leg in the
No, I've let it win in shade. Yeah, I did it with, you kind of razor sharp teeth and used to it easily.
How scared is getting killed by
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna do this. I'm spinning to the dark.
Only do 20 degrees bite leg. That's bite leg. Just bite leg. Maybe it's not bite leg, bite leg. That's what I do.
We need to fight to the back. An alligator.
Only since you can find the crocodile.
I don't want to visit.
Maybe not.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Right. Okay. It's not very good. I was going to hand in.
So the instruction was for them to write this on paper?
Yes,
Oh.
yes. So if there were, 59, 57 kids on the meet, that means that about 52 kids are here.
Oh, here at school.
Yeah.
They're asking if they should upload it as PDF.
If the scan comes out as a PDF, that's fine. But remember, please just remind them one continuous scan. So I don't want 4 separate pages, I want one continuous scan.